I've been meaning to do a video on this for ages. It's going to be a bit of a longer one, but persevere, so I think it'll be a good one. The question I had from Jenny here is tips on sending a good proposal, because she's working, I think, on Upwork or other freelancing sites, sending proposals and not getting the work in. So that is obviously a really frustrating place to be for a freelancer. Hopefully we can get you sorted here. So obviously I'm going to make some leaping assumptions here on what I think you might be doing based on what I've seen other freelancers do or mistakes I've made in the past. And of course you might not be doing this, so don't think I'm assuming that you are necessarily. I'm just going off the information and experiences that I've had. I think one of the first little mistakes that freelancers can make is you approach your client as if they are an employer, and they're not. So employers have a slightly different criteria for hiring than what a client does when they're looking for a freelancer. An employer is thinking about all sorts of things like, is this person going to fit into the business? What's their attitude like? Am I going to invest money training them? Do I want to invest money training them? They're going to invite you into their business, and you're going to cost money probably to train up and get exactly where they want you to be. And that's obviously not always the case, but there's an element of that. Freelancers, on the other hand, I don't want to say they don't have to fit into the business, because they do, because you do become part of your client's team to some degree. But the relationship is very, very different. The client is hiring you to solve their problems. And so the approach when you apply for a freelance position is very different, in my opinion, to when you apply for a job full-time employed. So when you apply for a job full-time employed, most CVs are structured like you start with your personal statement, which is a bit about you, and you go into your experience and your education and all this kind of thing. Whereas I think like the client freelance relationship is like a bit more selfish on the client side, for want of a better word. I don't think my clients are selfish, but ultimately they want you to come in and they want you to solve a very specific problem. So it might be like, for me, I solve SEO problems, so I help websites rank on Google. So essentially the first problem that I'm solving is how I'm going to get their website not ranking on Google to being found on Google. And then what I'm also going to do is make sure that I add value to the client. So you're going to get your problem solved, plus you're going to get perhaps more than you anticipated. And that more than anticipated are going to be things that actually help you do your job well, that add value to the client and aren't horribly cumbersome for you to do. So for example, for me, my primary problem to solve is getting a website from not ranking on Google to ranking on Google. That's the obvious thing that people are asking for. What they don't perhaps realise they're going to get is management of content production, content teams, content plans. They're going to have the team working harder and more efficiently because there's going to be a good plan for developers. There might be processes that we're going to implement into their business, so everything's a bit more streamlined. Other areas of marketing are going to benefit from the SEO work because you've got data about how customer searches on Google, what they want, what their problems are. You see where there's like, we're going to solve this problem. Oh, and by the way, by hiring me, you're also going to get help with X, Y, and Z. So how does this look? How does this kind of transfer to the proposal process? One of the things I see on Upwork is like just loads of information about the person, as in the freelancer. So the freelancer will say, I'm really good at this, I've been very professional, punctual, that kind of like standard personal statement type stuff. But you want to try and move away from that, and you want to construct a proposal that's like so good the client would be, where they would feel stupid for turning it down. But rather than like focusing on yourself, you're going to kind of flip the narrative a little bit and focus on what you can do for the client. I might just go and see if I've got some examples of proposals on Upwork that I can show you, so I can actually show you ones that I've sent out before. I just found an example in my Upwork inbox, which is actually perfect. So you can see here, the client has sent me like a pretty generic message, probably sent it to a few freelancers, to be honest, while they're figuring out who to hire. And they're just saying they'd like me to submit a proposal to their job. So like attached to this would have been like the more full proposal. And I've just gone straight in there and said, hello, this job is of great interest to me. It's my favourite type of work. And that's pretty much all I've said about myself or my skills. I've not gone on about my 8 years of digital project management and all this thing at this point. I'm just trying to go straight in, build trust. Clients who received an SEO strategy for internal teams, that's what the client asked for in the proposal, have said. So there's that kind of proof of concept there. So you can see I carry on with the testimonials there and finish those off. And I say there's plenty of testimonials with clients who started with a roadmap and built out to divide and conquer their strategy, sharing the loads between me and internal teams. So I'm just kind of saying that I can do this with your team or on my own. And then I've just gone in and asked questions about the client. So I haven't even given them a price, even though that this is like fairly productized for me. I know how much this is going to cost. But I'm just kind of proving credibility through testimonials, and then making sure to like turn this conversation back on the client, because they're the ones that really matter here. It doesn't matter how much experience I've got, it doesn't matter who I've worked with and all this kind of thing. It just really matters about how much I care for this client, because that's an indicator to them that I am going to try and solve problems for them. This initial interaction did actually lead to me getting a job with them. So I've been working with them for 3 or 4 months now, and they're really ace to work with as well. You can see how the script has flipped a little bit. So it's not so much about you as a person or what you've got to offer outwardly. It's like what you've got to offer them very specifically to solve their specific problem. And I think what a good freelancer can do is see a job description and potentially preempt some things that some problems that the client might have had before. And so yeah, I hope that helps. There's quite a lot of information in there, but hopefully it's useful.